My name is Candi. I work with Fidelity. I have been teaching for years and years and years, and I still get freaking so nervous every single time. And it's cold in here, so I'm still like, I'm shaking a little bit and I'm nervous. So I will probably cuss because I always cuss when I'm nervous. But Richard also cussed, and so I feel better about it because he's all to board and I'm just me. So just know something's gonna drop, and I'm just giving you forewarning. And I'm sober. This is water, not vodka. The other thing I want to point out is I have done a lot of research into AI. I'm a huge fan of it. I went through Alta Edge, had a bunch of classes on it. Alta also had a boot camp, did all this work. I have spent hours creating this presentation. And so because of that, I am not willing to share my slides with you. So if you want a picture, take pictures all you want. I just don't want to give you my blood, sweat, and tears. Although I did not bleed in making this, it wasn't like that at all. But there's a lot of content in here, and I just don't want to give away my baby because I'm going around teaching my baby. So then if you take my baby and teach it, I need my job. I don't know. Does that make sense? So if you have issues, bring it up with Tron. He told me I could say that. He's like, what the heck? I did not say that. Okay. If you've seen me teach at all, I am a dog person, and I always have my dogs in my pictures because one, it gives me that moment to take a breath and remember it's okay to be nervous. I have 4 doodles. So Copper, Henry, Franklin, and Dublin is right here. I read a lot. I've read 69 books already this year. I think I read like 150 last year. So in a airport last week, my husband and I just went to Banff National Park. This was Lake Louise last week with ice on it, and now it's pretty blue, and they're actually dealing with flooding. So you guys, my husband was gifted 2 ducks 2 years ago, or last year. Henry over here decided to murder one of them. And so apparently when you lose a duck, and don't worry, we're going to talk about AI, but I got to tell you about the ducks first. When you lose a duck, they can't be by themselves. Like they have to have other ducks. So my husband went and bought 4 more ducks. Well, then Henry thought it'd be fun to murder another one. We're down to 3 ducks right now. So hopefully they stay. And then there's my doodles again. So that's my life. Don't worry, that's only dog pictures you're seeing. So it's not like we're going to see dogs the whole time. Okay. AI. Software, what is it? I mean, I think we all know what it is. Don't worry. Somebody told me I don't want to come and just learn about what AI is. And I'm going to give you some practical tips that you can take home with you to be able to use right now in your office or even right here on your steps. So why does it matter in real estate? It's saving time on repetitive tasks. The whole point of AI is not to take away your job. It's going to make you more efficient at what you already do. Think about those day-to-day tasks that are just the monotonous. You don't really need your brain to do them, but you have to do them anyway. That's what you're thinking about for AI. How can I take away those monotonous tasks so that it leaves me to use the things I need my brain for? I am underwriting counsel up Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. I don't know if you guys know this, but in underwriting, you have to use your brain. So that is not one of those tasks I'm going to be sending AI. Maybe I could have AI look at it first and give me an answer, but we still need our brains for that portion. So it's what can you be using to help assist you, not replace you. Okay. It's going to just make you more efficient. Here are some options of things that you could use and ways to automate yourself. This is more a slide that I use for realtors, but I wanted to just throw it up there because there's so many different ways to automate. How many of you guys are actually using AI on a daily basis? Okay, less people than I actually expected. I expected more. Core AI skills every title agent must know. Effective prompting, and we're going to go through all of these. Asking the right follow-up questions, consistency in labeling and documentation, how to spot AI usage, output verification, data awareness, and when not to use it. So first up, we're going to talk about the prompt. That prompt is that instruction you give to the AI. You're giving it both the context, the constraints of what you want it to produce. If you don't know what you want, how do you know how it's supposed to respond back to you? So what makes a good prompt? And I have a couple of slides up here that I'll show you. You're going to be clear, specific, role-based prompts. You need to tell it what frame of mind you're wanting it to think. Am I wearing my underwriter hat here, or am I wearing my education hat? Am I talking to a realtor, or am I talking to a title agent? Am I explaining this to a layman who might not understand title insurance at all, or am I talking to somebody who's been in the field for 15 years? You're going to want to know and make sure you're laying out that context. So there's two different like ways of schools of thought you can think about prompting, but craft is one of them. It's just a nice little way to think about it. So context, role, action, format, and tone. Set that background for the situation so AI understands what you're wanting to do. What's the context you're even asking for? Then what's your role? Define how and who AI should act as. Are you asking them to act as a realtor? Are you asking them to act as the title agent? Are you asking them to act as that layman person? Clearly state what you want them to do, specify how you want that organized, and then set the style and the audience level. So how do you want that tone? I'm a big fan of the DISC assessment. And all of our internal folks have taken the DISC assessment, and we talk about it as a team, and it's able to tell, oh, if you're a certain way, I should relay my information or communicate with you differently because you see things differently than I do. I am a hard D, like the big D. I say that every time. I'm a big D, and that sounds weird, but what it just means is I'm a direct person. I'm going to say exactly what I need. I'm not going to go and like flower stuff up. But if you know that about me, you're going to then context or something differently. So when you're having AI create those communications, you're going to think Candi wants it direct because I know she's a D on the DISC scale. Make sure that you make that email for a direct person. Now, if it's somebody who maybe is an underwriter and you know that they're going to want facts and analysis, that response would be completely different, crafted for them versus me. So that's why it's important that the AI knows who your audience is so they can craft it the best way. Okay, so just some good, better, bests of prompting, and I'm not going to go through these. I also don't like trying to do live demos because I feel like anytime you try to do that in a live setting, they never work out. So everything I have are screenshots, but I'm happy afterwards. If you want me to show you how to do any of this, you can. I'm going to give you a couple examples of why prompting matters. So I was at a charity event, drank a little too much vodka, and decided to spend a lot of money on a trip to Italy. I now have a house and I have to figure out 8 people to go with me to this trip to Italy. But if I prompted AI and I said, I planned my trip to Italy for me, I know where I'm going to stay because I have this house, but plan a trip for me to Italy. If you put that into AI versus plan a trip for Italy, and you can see the parameters in place because I will take my husband with me, it's going to give you completely different results. So if you have that context, that tone, I'm setting all that up in the second one versus the first one. The first one, you're going to get all sorts of different answers. And if we all put in plan a trip for me to Italy, all of us are going to get variations of completely different things. Where if we put in the plan a trip for Italy and you put in those parameters, you're getting more specific. We're going to get a better result. So this is a practical demonstration. So if you want to pull out your phones and pull up if you have AI on there and you want to look at this, you can type in create a pickle with a red tie. You can also take a picture of this and say create the image that's listed in this practical demonstration. It will take a little bit of time for the pickle to appear, but what I want to show you is that if you do create a pickle with a red tie, that's very open-ended. What does that actually mean? Is it like a gherkin with like a tie on it, or is it like a cartoon character? I mean, there's a bunch of different avenues we could go with it. So in order to make it a little bit quicker, I went ahead and used ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot, and something else to create this. And so I use the same prompt for all of them and look at my variation in results, because some are more in tune to do images than others. And I wasn't specific. So like, I love this little guy. Like, I don't know who he is, but he is super cute. But like all with just the same prompt. And if you look at your neighbors and you put this in, you would see each of you would have it a little bit differently depending on what's one you're using and how it knows you. So let's go to the next prompt. and make it a little bit more detailed. Create a cartoon caricature of a pickle. He should have eyes, nose, and a mouth. He should be wearing a red tie and be smiling. Okay, so we're going to get a little bit closer, right? I put it in, and there you go. Like, I think they're pretty similar. But I want to tell you this guy right here, Hannibal Lecter pickle. Do you guys see that? That is from Claude, and I absolutely love Claude, but Claude is not an image generating one. So if you're trying to do anything with Claude, do not use it for pictures. ChatGPT just had an upgrade in April for their image. Because you remember when we used to do AI software and there'd be like 6 fingers and hands would be like, there'd be like a third hand. They've upgraded it so well now that you get a much better result. But just know, oops, sorry. If you want the Hannibal Lecter pickle, use Claude. But it's just too funny for me. I mean, it even added the Mr. Pickles and adding that extra stuff in there. So just nice things to think. So just with prompting in general, AI is rarely one and done. Learn to refine, clarify, iterate on responses, treat it like a junior assistant. So that was all just like prompting, just a quick little thing to go through. But now we're going to go into some more practical demonstrations. Did you know that if you're using AI routinely, it is keeping a memory of all the things that you were asking. And you can go in there and put in this prompt. And I did it because I was curious what it knew about me. What are you remembering about me that you are referencing when you're working with me? So what are you remembering? And you can have it put all those memories out. So you can go into settings, personalization, and go into the memory setting of your AI application. And you can delete memories that don't apply. So I was watching a speaker and he said, you and your girlfriend fight a lot. That was one of the memories it had created. And because he put in there, am I right or is the girlfriend right? And he was like, I don't want that to be a memory that you're using to create all my future stuff off down the road. I want to delete that memory. I want to keep these certain things in there. So know to go in and check your memory and see, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's not applicable anymore. And you can also go in there and say, I want you to remember certain things. So, hey, I want you to remember that I don't like the M dash because when you see those M dashes, it's AI creating it. Or I want you to remember I don't like the word whatever. So you can always go in and have it remember certain things about you so that you're not having to reiterate yourself all the time. One of those demonstrations is about your identity. And so I went ahead and did this in my own. I want you to remember this about me. My name is Candi Slobodnik. I am an education underwriting at Fidelity. My number is blah. My email is this. My website is this. Whenever you're writing anything for me that includes contact information, always pull these details automatically, which is great. Then you don't have to do it every single time. You're adding it in there once and then it's remembering. Because remember, it's generative. It's thinking about what you're asking, and then it is creating information. Just keep in mind that AI will hallucinate. It will make up stuff if it doesn't know the answer. So it's not just a simple, yes, there's this. There's a case out there where the lawyer went ahead and had AI create the brief and he submitted it to the court and it cited case law, and that case law did not exist. So if you went and actually tried to look up that case, it was nowhere to be found. So you do need to make sure that anytime you're using AI, make sure you're verifying the information being given. And that's why some AI sources are better than others, because they're going to give you the sources for that information. And if you're not getting those, you need to make sure to be asking for them. The other practical demonstration is if you wanted to switch. So like a lot of people use ChatGPT and then they decided to switch to Claude, or you want to switch to Grok or one of the other, you want to go to Copilot. And what the problem with people have is they don't want to switch from one software to the other because ChatGPT knows me. I don't want to have to worry about going through and having to redo all of this stuff. What's nice is you can go in there and say, I'm going to start using Claude. Give me at least all of the rules you follow for me based on memory so I can take them over. And it's literally going to give you step by step each memory that you have. And then you can go in and say, I'm going to take that out. That's not applicable anymore. Cut and paste it. And then you can put it into Claude. There's a setting for Claude that you just go in and say import memory from. You're importing that memory. It's now going to include that. So if you're using, and everybody should be using multiple AI platforms, you can make sure that your memory is the same in both. And that way you're not having to go back and say every time, my name is Candi Slobodnik. I work for Fidelity. I do this. It all can be put in there right away. The problem is that you're going to hear me say this. You're going to say, that's a great idea. And then you're going to go home and never do it because you have to really just sit down and do it. And then once you do it, it's done. You don't have to worry about it. So if you want to play on your phones right now and get it done right now, I'm completely fine with that. It's less eyes on me. Okay. So switching gears a little bit. How does this work in a title agency? So let's say you're an owner and you are pro AI. I want to be as efficient as possible. I want to save time and money. And I'm going to talk about some vendors that I think you can use in that space. But the problem is you have workers and you have Paper Paula over here, does everything by paper. You have Electronic Eddie, who's everything electronic. And then you have Hybrid Helen kind of in that middle. And I didn't put Helen up here because I had AI create this, but whatever. So think about when you're trying to set your team up for success and you say, I want to make sure we're all sufficient and we are all working towards a common goal. You're going to want everybody to be doing it together. Now, Paper Paula has nothing online. How are you going to be able to track her measures or do any of that stuff if she's not putting everything into the system? So let's say you start tracking orders every month and Paper Paula is only paper. Electronic Eddie is everything's electronic. Electronic Eddie is always going to look great because all of his measures are within the system. You're able to pull that, you're able to look at it. So you have to get your team buy-in to transition over and use it. And I do think that title companies that are using AI and will continue to use AI or jump into it are the ones that will be here in the next 20, 30 years because AI is forever changing, but there's no way to keep up with the consistency and the demand and having your employees take vacation. Just somebody gets sick, they're out, they can't get their work done. If you're using AI to help in some of those processes and procedures, AI doesn't have to take vacation. It doesn't need sick. And I'm not saying get rid of your employees. I'm just saying it allows you to get the things done, whether somebody's in the office or not. So keep in mind Paper Paula and Electronic Eddie as we go through. The biggest thing too is how to spot AI have been used when you've been used. And so I have this nice slide up here because the problem now is so many people have gravitated to it and it is such an easy, I use AI to summarize this article for me. Tell me the top 3 points. People are using it so much now that they're losing that authentic nature of the communication. If I was emailing Ryan, the way I would email him myself would be different than what AI would come out. And so you have to really think about how, and you need to train your own AI if you're using it to help generate emails or whatever. Make sure that you're making it sound like your own voice. So you can go into AI and say, whenever I draft an email, I want you to keep it within a paragraph length. I want you to have the answer at the beginning with the description after. So it can draft that email for you, but never, and then you would say, I never want it to be longer than a paragraph. That way, you know, it's not going to be longer than that. But there's ways to train it to make it sound a little bit like you and less automated. I recently reached out to a title agent and I asked her about a trip I'm taking with my nephew next summer. And she sent me back a cut and paste from ChatGPT with her name signed at the end about what I had been asking her. It had her name wrong at the end. It spelled her wrong. And it had all the M dashes. It was clearly cut and paste from AI. And I was like, why do I need you if I can do this myself? At least I know to change my name at the end. So the biggest thing too is if you're using it, make sure that you're reviewing and that it has your voice. My boss is David Townsend, and he is division manager for 34 states. he doesn't have time to listen to me diatribe on and on and on. So what I do is I write it in my own voice and then I say, Copilot, please make this an executive summary of this. My boss doesn't need to hear me ramble. He just needs to know the key points. There's ways to be able to use it to your advantage. I personally like to draft it myself and then have it revamp. You can have it write it first and then you can revamp it. But either way, you're going to want to make sure you're reviewing it. So how to know when it's being used, polished but vague language, generic legal description or legal explanations, overstructured formatting. I mean, I think at this point we all know what it looks like, and I think it's pretty clear to spot. But there's no qualifiers like subject to underwriting approval, repetition with slight rewording. It could be missing local context, skipped steps or process errors, misuse of advanced title terminology. Because again, remember, AI is going to create an answer no matter what, and it might not be correct. So you need to make sure that you're reading it to understand. And then fact checking. AI always sounds confident, even when it's wrong. Always review those facts, numbers, names, conclusions. Use AI drafts as a starting point, not as an answer. And then it can also present unique answers for you. So I know that has a typo there, but okay. Let's talk about AI products. If you are not paying for the product, your data is the product. So if you're using the free version of ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it may be, just know that they're using anything you put in there to help build their system. At Fidelity, we use Copilot because it's part of Microsoft. Everything is within our Microsoft license. It is not something that can be searched from the web or somebody wouldn't be able to come in and get that information. But if you're just using the free version, anything that you have out there could be used. My husband pays for ChatGPT. I use Claude. I'm a fan of Claude. I don't pay for it. So I'm a little bit of pot kettle. So I say for personal use, do whatever you want. But if you're using it for your business, you definitely should be paying for it. And I'll only say I only put in sourdough recipes right now. So I don't care if the public has my sourdough recipes or pictures of my sourdough. Claude is my biggest fangirl and tells me my loaves always look lovely. And so my husband's like, I think you have a crush on your AI, but whatever. Okay. Always pay for your AI. Free versions do fall short. If you're looking at it from a title agency perspective, you need to make sure you're getting the team or the enterprise accounts as a rule. Treat it as a capital investment. And what I mean by that is you spend more on business cards than you would AI. And AI is going to replace hours of your work week, if not of your day. So while it could seem like, oh gosh, these numbers, if you look at it monthly or yearly, seem like a lot, at the end of the day, you're making yourself more efficient so that you can get home and go see your kids softball or baseball or basketball or watch your dogs play in the yard if you don't have children. What AI are you already paying for? That's where you want to start. Do not go out and start looking at all these vendors and buying all these things if you're not even paying attention to what you have already on your plate. So most of them have Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace because you're either using one of those. Check your subscription for access because Copilot, just like Gemini or anything else, there's different levels of service depending on what you're paying for. One thing that I really like in Copilot, which I didn't know they had, was Create. And I have this little screenshot of it, but you can go in there and I can add. So I had a underwriting guide and I was like, I just want to play around with it. I went over here and you can put the underwriting guide in, add file. And then over here, I can create a poster. I can create a form. I had it create a PowerPoint presentation off of my underwriting guide, and then it narrated the whole thing for 15 minutes. So it created narration of it all off of one document. So I create a lot of content because I do a lot of education. I use AI to create all of my outlines. Use it to create all of my questions because we have to have quiz questions for certain ones to get CE approval. It's a great way to start. Like, I have this idea. How do I make this? Or how do I make this flyer? How do I make this slide? Getting images is really nice because, copyright. I was a photographer for a while and we have copyright of our own images. But if you create it using Create or some other system, you don't have to worry about some of those copyright constraints or paying or for licensing or anything like that. Okay. What should you not use AI for? If it can get you sued, fined, or fired, AI should not answer it. So think about things like deciding insurability. That's what I love, because underwriting, we have to stay here forever. Like, our jobs are not in jeopardy because you need us. Not that we don't need anybody else, but underwriting is here to stay, is what I like to say. Make final decisions regarding resolution of title defects, issues, independently interpret legal effect of any document, approve or waive curative actions, conditions, or exceptions. So you really want to be cautious about what you're using it for, and we'll go through some of those AI guardrails in a second. But I was creating this presentation in Canva, and I asked Canva just for this nice no right here, okay? Like, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, right? It, for some reason, I'm gonna start giggling because this next slide cracks me up. It created this picture right here for me when I said the word no, which doesn't make sense at all. But if you know me, I played tuba through college. I had a scholarship to play the tuba at Northwest Missouri State. And so I then thought, these guys need to see me that's my high school senior photo. This is me in 8th grade. Us millennials really had style. I feel like the 8th graders now are so cute. And I was like, what am I doing? I found this at a shop, and we put it up on the wall in my office. This guy, I had to pay him money, but I got to take a picture with him down in New Orleans. Did you guys know there's a tuba city in Arizona? Because there is. I have my tuba shirt. You guys can't see them, but I have tuba earrings on. I have a tuba stocking cap, but it was a little warm. I am not obsessed, guys, not obsessed. And then, of course, my little thing. So this has nothing to do with AI. I just wanted to show you that I was a nerd. I mean, I'm still a nerd, but the tuba nerd. I have not played since college, and I met a girl in DC who sells equipment, and she found me a tuba, and so I was gonna buy it, and my husband's like, "Where are you gonna practice that? You can't practice that in our house." And I'm like, "Yes, I can, right? Like, I feel like I should be able to play the tuba in the house." He told me I need to go in the backyard, which we live on 10 acres. So I'm like, "You want me to just like be in the backfield, like playing polka?" Like, I don't know, but I have not bought it yet. I just keep thinking for Christmas one year, he's gonna gift me a tuba. But if he does that, I will come back and I'll play the national anthem for you. So I'm singing the national anthem in Kansas. So if anybody comes, I sang it in Missouri last year, but they asked me to do it in Kansas. So I'm very nervous for that one too. So if you want to come support me, please come to the Kansas convention. Okay. That was a lot about tubas. You guys are like, what is this girl doing? Okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're okay. Okay, so like I talked about, AI guardrails, no legal advice, no sensitive client data. Do not be putting in MPI if it's not a closed off network. So they call it walled off, and you're able to do that. So if you're paying for it, you're able to wall it off. But completely within your own workspace, it's not saved on any other servers or anywhere else. Because think about if you're putting in somebody's social security number, their banking account information, we cannot have that being used by everybody else. I watched a demo for realtors, and I thought it was cool because think about realtors get in a bunch of offers at one time. And they're like, gosh, I have to be able to look at all these offers and compare them all. You can throw them all in AI and just have it say, give me the differences between these. And it does it within minutes. So like 5 minutes, you can get a rundown. And there's a software I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Literally, it gives you a rundown, and then you can have it create a minute-and-a-half podcast or a 15-second podcast to give you the high levels of stuff, so that when you're driving to that open house or whatever, you can get it to tell you exactly what you need to know about maybe this house, this offer, this thing, whatever it is. So Just know no sensitive data unless it's walled off or it's within your system alone. We have a lot of stuff, obviously, at Fidelity that's sensitive. And so up in our all of our emails, it will say sensitive or AI not allowed or something like that to let us know it's not able to be used within AI or thrown to AI. No compliance or pricing decisions. Only use those accounts, like I said, if it's walled off. Some more guide rails. Use AI for busy work. What is that repetitive task that you eat every day? What are you eating, guys? Gosh, that's a typo. Repetitive tasks, research data poll or drafts before and after every meeting, brainstorm content, refine emails. When it says drafts, though, I want to be very clear. Please do not use it to draft deeds or stuff like that. Like that's still, if it's legal work, it does need to be done by an attorney. Should not be using it to go create your legal descriptions unless it's an AI for that, which I'm going to talk about in a second because I have a couple examples. Do not use AI for sales conversations, your outreach, or your relationships. So what you're doing is saying, there was a statistics. It's like 10% of your day is able to use for all the client relationships because your busy work is taking up the majority of your time. So use AI to help solidify or make some of that stuff go away so that you're able to open up and actually have those conversations. Because I might just text Ryan and say, hey, how's it going? Thinking of you. Or I could actually have the time to call him, talk through, say like, hey, how could I be a better partner? How can I help you? Those are the things that you want to use and do for yourself. You want to be authentic. AI isn't going to be authentic. AI is going to do that extra stuff so that you have that time to have those relationships. Okay, this is something I learned last week when I was taking a class. On ChatGPT, there is a setting. So if you have ChatGPT, I would say open it right now because I did this and I was like, oh shit, shoot. Under settings, there is data controls, and Claudia and everybody else has this too, but data controls. Then go over here and it says improve model for everyone. Usually 50% of the audience has that turned on and you do not want it turned on. After I turned it off my own computer, I went and turned it off on my husband's as well. If you have that on there, it means they're using it to be able to help everyone, no matter if you're paying for the subscription or not. And each one of these providers has something like that. So just make sure this is not the time you want them using your data to be able to help everybody else. So go in there, turn off that setting so that you're not sharing or using that model. I mean, I'm all for helping others, but in one of those cases, you just, especially if you're using client data, you do not want to have that setting on there. Did anybody have it turned on? Yeah, I did too. I know. Okay, so I have a 5-week roadmap that you guys can start thinking about how to do this, because the biggest thing I will say is not everybody is excited about AI like I am. And I love it. It is the future and I'm so excited for it, but not everybody is like that. So you really do need to find a champion, find somebody in your office, because if you go into Paper Paula and say hey, I'm really excited about this AI tool. We're all going to use it. She's going to say, F you, leave me alone. This is the way I've always done it. You're probably more likely to get Electronic Eddie involved because he's already electronic. He's going to be more forward thinking. He might be willing to do it. And once Electronic Eddie does it and Paper Paula sees how nice it's going, she'll be like, okay, I might be able to get on board. So this is something where you don't want to just go and make these huge overbroad changes without really thinking about it and getting those champions in place. So first off, your first week, you're just going to check with IT. What are we already paying for? And are we using it to our capabilities? Have you taken demos to make sure you're understanding all that's out there? I didn't know that Microsoft had Create until I was playing around with it more and I saw somebody mention it. Fidelity for us always has AI classes we can take to better understand how to use it because there's so much out there that we're not using to our advantage. We're just really lucky because our CEO is like, you need to get out there and use it. So he's almost forcing us as employees. So you as owners can say, hey, we encourage you employees to use this, but here are the parameters in place. We don't just want people to go all willy-nilly. So you want to understand your guardrails. You want to start using it daily. What can I do every day to just start introducing this? Learn that basic prompt structure, which I said. Make sure you're importing that memory. What do I want to make sure I just remember so I don't have to type out every time? My name is Candi Slobodnik. I am an underwriting counsel. Da 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 da. Like, have those basic things set up, and then you can just get a little bit more efficient every day. Start with those email improvements. That's the easiest. You're already drafting emails all the time. It's really nice too. Like today, I'm not in front of my, well, I am technically in front of my computer, but I'm not reading emails right now. If I come back and there's a string of 8, I can have Copilot tell me what the synopsis is of this and what I need to look at. When I went on vacation for a week, I said, please tell me which of my unread emails are the most important for me to look at first and put them in order. So it said, oh, this one has a closing of this date. You need to respond to this now. This one needs to do this. These can wait till next week because they're just industry emails. But it was a nice way to sift back through and go through that stuff. But if you're not using it, you can't expect really anybody else to be using it either. Anonymize everything for practice. So practice or drafts only. You're never using that final product until you figure out how to fully use it. Don't just go out there and say, hey, draft an email to my boss about this and send it. You really need to be practicing with it. Make sure it has that tonality that you want, that context. And then AI should be used for documented governance frameworks created. I don't even know what that means. We're going to skip that one. I did write it, but okay. Confidence and personal efficiency would be week 2. So you've already started using it in your email. Now we're going to switch to meeting notes. And I know these are by weeks. This could be the first month you're only doing emails and then you want to go into notes. So it's take your time doing it, but know that the next step would be, how I'm doing it. Meeting notes. And I have some vendors at the end about meeting notes. Start with your meeting notes. So how many of you guys have to sit in on meetings? Only me? Okay, we got Billy and Stacy. Thank you. What's nice is there's ways I take notes. It's a way for me to be able to listen. I think it's my church days because you'd have to listen to the pastor when you're little. And if I took notes, I could pay attention to better. I have to take notes to pay attention. But what's nice with AI is there's Copilot Facilitator. It will create you the outline of what was said, any action items, follow-up items. Because how many times do we get out of a meeting and you say, what was I supposed to do again? Or who was the next person moving on that needle? Now there's just a nice summary at the end. Anybody can go and edit it. You send it to the team. Everybody knows where we're going. So then the next meeting, we're already on our way. Instead of taking an hour for somebody to type up the notes and then you send it around, make sure it all looks good. It's just an easier, more efficient way. Just keep thinking efficiency. Build confidence with those smaller tasks. Daily repeatable tasks, status updates, curative follow-up emails, summaries for realtors or lenders. Make human review a habit. Never just send it. You always need to review it, revise it, then send it. And as the AI starts getting to know you better, it will start knowing you more and more. You'll have to probably revise less, but you do want to make sure to revise it and have it sounding like you. So then we're going to go to week 3. Team alignment and procedures. Decide and define the procedures for AI use. Because now at this point, you've been using it for a little bit. You understand how you kind of want it to be used by your team. Now we need to communicate those procedures. So you need to set up a team, depending on how big your agency is. Maybe we have an AI task force, or if you want to call it some fun name, AI will help you create names. We're doing a book club, and so we put the names, like, give me a book club name. It's really fun what AI can do. But create processes and procedures. And guess what? AI can help you create those processes and procedures. So I am a title company with X number of employees. We do this on a daily basis. Please set up those processes and procedures. Just like Ulta has best practices, you're going to probably, I bet you they create a best practice for AI usage. We have one for Fidelity. Most places that are using it routinely have some kind of process because you want to make sure that your people are using it correctly. If they're putting in that sensitive data, they're doing it in the right walled off system. Think about all that stuff and how you want people to use it. Once you have down your software that you're already paying for. That's when you start looking at other applications because you should not go and spend a bunch of money on another vendor if you're not even taking advantage of what you have right now. Because how do you know you even need that vendor if you don't know what your current vendor has available for you? Build a shared prompt library, especially if you get a lot of the same stuff. Instead of repeating the wheel, you can share that library. And then again, like I said, pick those team champions. There's a couple of us within the agency division that are like, rah, rah, AI. And so, of course, they're going to put us on a team to help train other people on how to best use it. Week 4, that's when you start looking at risk management and quality control. This is the one that often gets overlooked. Establish review checkpoints. This is not a set it and we're done. Okay, here's our policies and procedures. Good luck. You guys have fun because AI is changing constantly. You need to make sure that you're updating. So is it meeting every quarter to just make sure, do these policies, procedures work? Do we have documentation or stuff happening? How are our employees using it? What's the use cases they're seeing? Do we need to make broader policies? Identify hallucination risks. When is AI? Remember, it wants to make you happy. It's going to create an answer. What in your daily task could it start hallucinating, and how can you make sure it doesn't do that, or you're able to catch it? And again, just keep reinforcing AI assist, humans decide. It's always that human component. Week 5, continuous growth in improvement. Track time saved, friction reduce, revisit prompts that worked and didn't. Maybe you had some prompts and you're like, that doesn't work at all. Expand into training new employees, knowledge transfers, policy summaries, and then schedule those policy reviews. So that kind of gives you a nice broad overview of just how to start thinking about it. Start small. Start with what today can I do to make me feel or get more efficient? What is that task that is just, I have to do it every day or every week that is repeated and that I can make it easier for me? Is there a document I have to review and I want it to just synopsis for me or whatever it may be? But now we're at that point when do I bring in those experts or those professionals? Compliance automation, multiple system integration projects, custom solution development, and enterprise level deployment. Those are when you're going to want to think about something outside of just using that Copilot or that Google Workspace. Agents should take a risk-based approach to vendor engagement. Do not hire a vendor if you haven't actually done a demo. Make sure that you've done a demo and you've asked those questions. It's great if you're able to get in there and actually go within that workspace. When Ron came out and like it was a big deal in COVID times, I think I demoed 22, 24 different Ron vendors. I wanted to see them all because I wanted to be able to explain to my agents who was good, who was bad. But I had a list of questions and I had a spreadsheet and I was like, are they SOC 2 compliant? Where are they at on this? What's their pricing? And then I was able to compare them all. So make sure that if there's multiple vendors in a space, you're taking the time to demo it. Maybe grab that champion of yours that really is into AI, get them in there for a fresh perspective. But you're looking at that just to make sure that you understand what they're offering before you sign up with them. There's some questions. So we have this, I think he's like chief of AI at Fidelity, created some questions for us that we could give our agents of things to ask a vendor. And if you want the exhaustive list, I can send that over. But it's more, what is generative AI used for? And generative AI is when they can make up the information. They're getting everything and they're creating it. Because remember in Google, you Google something, it's going to give you sources of stuff, but it's like, here is the article or here's the site for that. AI is going to give you an answer, and it's going to be an answer compiled of all the different stuff you could find on Google or on the internet. And it might create there might create information where there might be a hole. So is a company or customer data used within AI systems? So that's a huge one right there. What are you going to do with my data? If I sign up with you, is it only mine or does my competitors get the advantage of everything that I'm putting in that system? That's why in ChatGPT, I said, take off that, improve that model for everyone. You don't want to have people be able to use that. You don't want to be able to share that information, especially client information. Is data shared with third-party systems? Are additional AI or modeling techniques employed and how are they used? A couple more contract terms. You do want to make sure where is everything saved? Is it all saved on a cloud? Is it on your own server? Do they have control of that? And think about also your underwriters. Do they have any approved vendors that they've already vetted and said, hey, go out and do this? Or is there somebody out there that you're like, my underwriter should know about that? If you find out any cool vendors, I'm happy to do a demo. I almost said a demo whore. Well, then I still said it. I love taking demos because I think they're fun. I think it's cool to see what's out there, and some are way better than others. So now's the fun part where I get to actually talk about vendors. I have demoed most of these. So I just told you to go do demos and I haven't. Ad Legends. Have any of you guys heard of Ad Legends? They do marketing and it is insane what you could have paid a marketing firm. Sorry if you're in marketing. What you could have paid a marketing firm $20,000 for, you can get Ad Legends. You go in there and it can create anything for your title company. You want to be able to have a realtor open house. You have a CE coming up on FinCEN, whatever it may be. You go in there, you have it help create it for you. Our marketing team strongly encourages people, and especially title agents, to use it. Guide. It turns workflows into professional videos and step-by-step documents. So where I talked about Microsoft Create and I had that underwriting guide and it made that presentation for me, Guide can do that too. You know, the only thing I don't like about Guide or any of these is they have that AI voice. I do a lot of audiobooks and you want the inflection, but this is very much like, I can't even talk like an AI person. Sorry, that was a really bad example. But it's an AI person talking, so it's not a real person, and it sounds kind of human, but just know that most people don't care. But it would be a good one, like FinCEN, when it comes back and we have to say, hey, here's the new parameters. You could create a quick 2-minute video, 1-minute video to put up on your website, and you can do it all through AI. So then you don't have to take the time to say, oh my God, does my hair look good today? Is the lighting good? I have to take a video. I need the right angle. AI can do that all for you. Pythonic. Are any of you guys using Pythonic? Okay. I love Pythonic. I want to scream from the rooftops how much I love them. Order intake, final docs. So order intake comes in. Your order comes in. It literally will put it into your system if they're integrated. So like with SoftPro or other vendors, they can put it directly into your system. So you don't have to have your person typing in all the information from the contract. They're able to do it within, I think it's less than 5 minutes. Take that order. They also really do a cool thing with final documents package. So like at the end of closing, you have all the documents and you scan them all. You say, I want this stuff created for the lender package. I need this stuff for the seller. I need this stuff for the borrower. And it will divide all that stuff for you, put a nice little like flyer on it with your information and say, okay, lender ready. So instead of taking the time to say, okay, I have to scan the lender stuff first, and then I have to go save it as a PDF, and then I have to go do that with the buyer, the seller, it's able to do that for you. So this is probably the easiest one to integrate into your everyday system right away. Nothing against people who do order entry, but I fat finger stuff all the time. I had typos in my presentation. AI isn't going to do that. Or, yeah, it's not going to do that if it's spelled right in the contract. And it just takes, like, you throw in all your orders from the day, you come back the next morning, they're all in your system ready to go. So if you have not talked to Pythonic, I do not work for them. I do not get a commission, but I would say talk to them. The other one I'm obsessed with right now is TitleCat. And it is like cat meow. And they said literally they just wanted a memorable name. They do search and exam. And I think this is where our industry is going for plants that are electronic. What I love about them is that if you have an electronic plant and you bring them in, they will not share your plant with anybody else. They will do your search and exam right there. So you say, I need a search and exam done on 123 Main Street. It will do the search. It's going to link all the documents so that you could go click any of them within that to see what attached. It's going to tell you if there are any red or yellow flags that need to be looked at. It can then examine the document and it can put it in a commitment for you. And they're also, I think they're integrated with SoftPro and Settler. They can put it in commitment form. I love this because one, all those old cursive documents are very hard to read, especially as they get copied over and over again, or just seeing them in general. AI can read that stuff for you. But it allows, again, we're not taking the examiner out of the mix. We're just letting AI do that first run. And then you have that person, like an actual person, come through and do that second review. But then they have something to look at and go off of. And the amount of mistakes that are caught by like they do QA on all their stuff. They have so little issues. They're going to have less issues, in my opinion, than you probably do with a physical examiner. Because if I'm having a bad day or I'm tired and I miss a document as a searcher and examiner, AI doesn't have a bad day. It doesn't have, like, it doesn't go on vacation. It doesn't do all these things. And so it is nice on those days that maybe we get really busy this summer and we need extra work, but we don't have the ability to go hire somebody else. You can use a system like that. I think you'll start seeing more and more of these search and exam companies. I've now demoed two of them, but one is owned by an agent. But I will say something like that, just keep in mind, you're going to start seeing those. I think we'll see as many of them as we do RON vendors. I know our direct operations are looking into it, just like I'm sure everybody else is. The other one I really like is, the other thing with TitleCat that's really cool too is they do E&O. So they will back, if they do a commitment for you, they back it. So if they say, okay, there's liability under this product. So it is something out there. I know we have TitleWave and there's other things out there, but just know TitleCat is an AI platform. Deed Plotter AI, everybody has Deed Plotter, but it is nice that this can actually turn your legal description into plots in seconds. So it's able to create that legal description for you. I have tried really hard to take legal description classes and I just don't get it. I'm glad I'm pretty because I just cannot. I don't do lefts and rights. I can do north, south, east, west, but I cannot do that. And I love that there is a system there for me in place. So just know Deed Plotter is available, but I was talking to a client, her daughter used ChatGPT to create an issue for her. So she took the documents, put it in there, and it was able to show her, here's where your gap is. And so there are ways to use, and I've done it with Copilot, there's ways to use your space already to help you kind of identify that stuff. But just know, I also know that TitleCat will do a legal description draw out for you. They'll GIS over it so you can see if there's any issues, and it will tell you if there's anything wrong with that legal description. Okay, a couple other vendors. Minutes app, this is the easiest one. So this is specifically for note taking, especially if you're in sales or you have to do CRM or you want to keep updates on files. Like I just met with my realtor group. You get in your car, you're so excited about that. But then by the time you get back to your office or your husband calls and he needs something, you forget about your meeting. So do this, go right literally into your car and you can make notes. But Minutes app, it is a phone application, automatically transcribes. Just make sure that if you are going to ask, or if you're going to record somebody, you should ask. Each state is different on whether you need consent or not. I think it's always nice. But one way to do it so that you make sure they're okay with it is I want to make sure I don't miss anything that matters today. So I'm going to use this meeting note taker to capture everything we discuss. Would that be okay with you? Because they're going to be less likely to say no when you're like, hey, I don't want to miss anything. Rather than, I want to make sure you don't say anything stupid. Will you let me record you? They're probably going to say no to that. So if you can't record it or you're not in a position, maybe it's really loud, like happy hour last night where it's too loud. I'm not going to be able to record this conversation. Go into your car, talk into it, and then AI can create and it will put it into something sensible for you to be able to put into your CRM or your software. What's nice about Minutes is it is SOC 2 compliant. Plod is another one I learned about recently. It is like that big. It's a little credit card sized device. So you actually get a device. It attaches to your phone. It's also SOC 2 compliant. The data stays local, which is really nice. So it's not going on the web anywhere. It's ideal for sensitive client conversations. But again, it's going to be able to take that conversation. And so instead of you trying to remember everything that happened, it's going to put all the key highlights, any takeaways, everything you need to do right there so that you have it available for whatever your next steps are. Read AI is built for Zoom and Teams. It's a coaching and notes tool in one. What I like about this is that it will say, you talk too much, or you need to think about this, or maybe don't say the S word all the time, or whatever. It will coach you on your own communication style, which is great. It will tell you at the bottom who talked and how much they talked within that meeting. I don't know if you guys know this, but I like to talk a lot, and it's very hard for me to stay silent. And so it would be nice when I see 98% of the time Candi talked and then everybody else is 2% of the time. It gives me that awareness of I need to pay attention to that. So just know Read AI will keep track of that for you. And then Notebook LM is grounded, also that closed loop. So again, it's staying within. What's nice about this one is it creates separate notebooks for each event that you have so that, or agent or realtor group or whatever it is, you can have separate ones. You can ask for a brief, deep dive or critique. So this was that one that I was telling you about that creates that podcast. This was specific. I was sitting in on the realtor presentation. So it's saying, oh, I have to go show this house to my eager buyers, but I haven't had the time to sit down and look at it. You throw in there, please look at this listing. Tell me the 5 things I need to know about this. And it will tell you in podcast format. So then when you're driving there, you can get that update. Just a couple slides real quick on some additional resources. AI prompts. So if you're having a hard time of just saying, how do I better do this? Because I'll type something out and then I'll see somebody else, they share their prompt with me and I'm like, you wrote that so well. And then I'll save it in my library for next time. Just know if you haven't started a library, there are libraries out there. So Microsoft and Google has them as well. So it is a nice way to be able to start with something rather than you just trying to create this all yourself. And you can find stuff specific to what you need for your everyday environment. Okay, I have 2 more slides. Key reminders. AI is not your employee. AI is your assistant. You're using it to help you. So it's everybody now has a personal assistant to be able to help them do better in their everyday jobs. It's excellent at drafting and summarizing, but bad at judgment, nuance, local risk. Make sure that that judgment, underwriting, and compliance stay human. And title agents are also always responsible for complying with federal, state, local laws regarding AI. So I want you, if you don't remember anything, what can AI do for me, and can it do what I'm currently doing? Can it do this for me? Go test it, run it, 2 or 3 different tools at the same time. See which one works better. Maybe ChatGPT works better for this, but I like Copilot for this. And then execute it. The more that you work on it and you follow through, you're going to get it done. You're going to be more efficient and you're going to blow your competition out of the water because while they're still doing that order entry, you're already at the closing table. I mean, not really, because that would be really fast, but just know that there's ways to make your life more simple. I put questions up here, but I actually don't want any questions. So if you could just applaud and then I'll be done. No, does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you so much.
If you talk bad to your AI chat, that remembers that later when Skynet comes back, anything about that?
So he said, I've heard that if you talk bad to AI, when the robots come back, they'll kill you. Is essentially what he said. I actually have, how many of you guys, when you talk to AI, say please or thank you? I say it every single time. And somebody told me they do it because they don't want to be murdered when down the future. So just no, I don't think that's happening. But you should be nice. I mean, they're helping you out.